Gazette du Togo, une vision sur l'actualité togolaise et sur le monde.
South Africa and Cyril Ramaphosa, what it means, he becoming the leader of the ANC and Jacob Zuma's exit. But before then, my guest tonight is, I'm sure he would forgive me to describe him as the latest police suspect in town, Bernard Mornah. He's the national chairman of the People's National Convention. Over the weekend, we saw photos of him at the counter back, or the back counter of the police station at NIMA. You're welcome to Point Blank, Mr. Mornah.
Thank you.
Why were you, prior to Saturday, you had sent us information that as a group you were embarking on a demonstration. When I was hosting the big issue, our reporter Caleb Kuda went to the NIMA police station and reported that he had seen you sitting behind the police counter. You were not a police constable. Why were you locked up there?
First, let me take the moment to thank particularly the media for bringing to the fore the barbarism that is still in our police service. And indeed, I have high respect for some police officers, but for what happened that day, I think that the police is still exhibiting tendencies of coolness towards human beings. And it appears that instead of acting professional, the so-called orders from above syndrome, that is archaic and is not a 21st century thinking, is still resident within the police service, and they ought to shed that and to know that they are a professional institution that is supported by taxpayers like me, and to act. If I were to choose the police as my profession, I'm sure that I would have been a senior police officer, and I'm sure I would have been a responsible police officer, and not to be vacillating on the whims and caprices of on the so-called orders from above. It is sad and shameful on an institution like the police service, and I'm disgusted by what they did. I notified the Ghana Police Service through the IGP on the 5th of December 2017 of the rally, not a demonstration as you have called it, a rally to drum home the barbarism, the killing, the abductions, and the human rights abuses that are currently ongoing in Togo, so that the international community can come to the rescue of the people. As you are aware, many have said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And if you are a human rights activist, and particularly you live close by just Togo, and you know that things are not going on well, and you are mute about it, your credentials as a human rights activist must be questioned. So some of us decided that if our governments are pretending not to know what is happening just next door, and they can go to the UN and other places to be talking about incidences in Myanmar, which is in Asia, then our governments in Africa are being hypocritical, and they are not attending to their own situation. We have a very nasty situation going on in Togo, and it will be important that we raise. So we are trying to raise awareness about that.
And who are we?
The movement, the Ghana-Togo Solidarity Movement. And indeed you have...
Made up of
myself as the convener, Irbad Ibrahim as the spokesperson, and many others. You understand?
So this was not a political movement?
It was not a political party movement. Indeed, everyone that knows Irbad Ibrahim, he is the peace ambassador, for instance, for election 2016. He is an internationally acclaimed security expert who has always spoken for peace. And therefore, even his presence alone on the movement should have told anybody that this cannot be a movement meant for violence. It can only be a movement seeking to bring about an amicable resolution of matters that our brothers and sisters are suffering in Togo.
So you wrote to the Ghana Police Service?
Yeah, we notified the Ghana Police Service on the 5th. It was not until the 15th. And remember that the Public Order Act says that you should notify them, at least give them 5 days notification. I gave them more than 10 days notification. On the 15th at 1:32 to be precise, I received a call from PM. I received a call from CSP Kwesi Ofori. At the time, indeed, you were moderating a function at La Palme Royal, you remember?
Yeah.
And that was the time in the conference room. I had to move out to go and receive that call. And you would have noticed that when you people were going for lunch, you did not see me. Because the police had called and I told them that I can be available at 5. And he pleaded that no, if I could come so that we can have a discussion about my event tomorrow. So I left you people. At the time you had just broken for lunch and I had to run for my respect for the police.
To the police headquarters? To
the police regional headquarters. Okay. We had a discussion amongst 4 of the police officers and myself. And when they told me that, look, about 1,500 of their men are on promotion course, and therefore they are stretched, I said, this has always been the tactics of the police. So we had a laughing chat, and I told them that, look, come and just do your security work and stop this. The 4 of you sitting here are adequate to secure our rally. So
and you were not moving. It was a rally, which means you were a stagnant crowd.
It was an event in situ. All that was happening is that it was an event in situ at a location. We were not moving anywhere. It was not a demonstration. It was not a procession.
It was not a march.
It was not a march. So, and the morning of the event, Kwesi Fori came at 8:45 a.m. Sorry, but I take notice of these things. And
Superintendent Kwesi Fori.
Yes. Then he came. I had a chat with him. Then said, Bernard, the pressures above, if you could call off this. I said, how? Look at the investment we have put into all this. And you can see that it's peaceful. We are dancing to good music. You understand? We are dancing to Exodus free movement of the people. So what is it? And at the time that we were doing this in Ghana, there were similar events in Togo itself, and in Nigeria, and many other places across the globe, in solidarity with the people of Togo. So Kwesi Ofori then left us and said he was going to the NIMA police station and to come back. 3 police vans came, stood for a while, and they left. A Tundra White came with riot police at the back and also left. Then the 3rd coming of the police in their team, as soon as they entered the park, they just jumped out of their vehicles and started dismantling everything, disrupting. And I stood up and said, what is going on?
Unannounced.
Then they just caught me like a cow, threw me in the bucket of the pickup as if I'm for the slaughterhouse. 2 policemen jumped into the car with their guns on my head. And when I pulled my phone to call my lawyer, they said, put off your phone or we shoot you.
Were you armed?
I didn't even have a car key on me. So even my blue beret, and blue beret signifies peace, even my blue beret was a threat to the police that they removed it. And then, as soon as they put me with the guns on top of my head, they put the Asarin and took off one way, came into the Kanda highway, meandering through traffic in Sarin, and all motorists' eyes were on me. Escobar, the notorious drug baron, was not even treated the way I was treated. They dumped me at the NIMA police station, and when I asked the officers there, so why am I here and why are we here? They said they didn't affect this operation. Later, that Mohammed that I met with the regional police commander and Kwesi Fori and Efiatenge came. Then I said, Mohammed, what is this? What is my charge? They said, we are going to meet to now tell you a charge. So at the time of your arrest, per what the law dictates, you were not told what your offense was. I don't know. And even as of now, until at the time when my lawyer then brought a letter, and then I had to go and sign my statement. Then I was told that we had an unlawful assembly. You know, at that time, I feel like just shredding myself into pieces. That this is the most irresponsible statement I could hear from a police, most of whom.
You felt betrayed?
It's not about betrayal. I felt scandalized. And I felt that this chicanery that is going on in our society must stop.
But if the police told you on the afternoon of Friday not to hold a gathering on Saturday, and you went ahead to do same, you have defied them and you have breached what they call the Public Order Act. And so you should be arrested and taken away from the venue as a leader of the group. That should not be wrong if the police did what they did.
I am very much aware that you are playing the devil's advocate, not because you are also ignorant of the content of the Public Order Act, because you do know that when I notify the police, I finish my duty.
Yes,
and
but
that when the police think otherwise, they ought to go to court and to put before the court reasonable justification for which my protestation or my event should not come on. And it is only a court that can give them an order which they must serve me. And even in the case involving the Let My Vote Count, led by the now Secretary to the President, the Supreme Court ruled that notification simply means write and tell the police, and that the police cannot even go to court any longer ex parte. They must inform the party concerned to also come to court so that they can make the argument. Ask the police whether they wrote anything to me.
But you see,
ask the police whether they sent anything to the courts.
But Bernard, perhaps because of logistical and time constraints, they decided to invite you, so you forfeit your lunch and have a gentleman's agreement with them, at which you may have agreed that you would call off the rally.
In public protestation alongside President Nana Akufo-Addo, starting from the days of Kume Preko, when I was in school. And I am not a stranger to the content of the Public Order Act. And I know what it means to be right and what it means to be wrong. And I just feel that on this occasion, their so-called orders from above has betrayed the integrity of our police and has subjected our nation to public ridicule as a country whose human rights records cannot be.
Let's talk about these so-called orders from above. Who above in Ghana would be bothered about Bernard Mornah and hundreds of people going to demonstrate over events taking place in Togo?
I've said this without time without number. And I've said that, look, my suspicion and my later investigations have all proved that my initial suspicion, which I mentioned to your reporter, that the national security is complicit in this matter, has been vindicated by the independence of investigations that I have done, which says that because the national security minister is very close ally to For Nyasingbe, and also he is a constant host of the Minister for Security in Togo, who always come to Ghana. The minister is always the one polluting the president about happenings in Togo. And eventually, he had to use his office to push, and he became, in my opinion, and later confirmed by my because I asked many people that I'm close to in government, how come that this could come about? And I don't want to mention names. It turned out that my suspicion of the national security minister is justified.
He has an interest in what is happening in Togo.
But if his friend is the minister responsible for security in Togo, and his friend is For Nyasingbe, and we are bringing the issues of Togo so that people will get to know the alarming situation, the adoptions that are going on, and he doesn't want that to be seen of his friends, what do you expect him to do? And that is why I'm scandalized that Ghana will want to position itself as anti-people's freedom in Togo, and that they are for a government that has been dominated by one family for 50 years. I'm sure President Nana Akufo-Addo will be wondering, could he, in all the protestation that he participated, have allowed one family to rule this country for 50 years?
Let me just say, though, that the claim you're making about the national security minister is a claim that we have not independently verified in any way, and I believe at this stage is just speculation.
No, I take full responsibility of that.
Fantastic.
Statement.
I don't know what national security officials knocking at my door at midnight. But moving forward, did the police say they are prosecuting you? Did they put you before court today? How did you end up being a free man walking?
I went to the police today. They asked me to come to the police station at 10 o'clock, and by 9:25 I was at the police regional headquarters, and I reported myself to that police officer. I know him by Mohammed. I met CSP Kwesi Ofori, who greeted me and just passed by, and I went to the regional commander's office, and we had a head teacher, and he said, "You have to report." I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, you have reported. You can go anytime we need you. We will bring you back." That was all.
So that is on the police side. On your personal side, what are you doing to
I
ensure...
have gone to my lawyers. As I told you, I'm not a cow meant for the slaughter to be taken and thrown in the bucket of a pickup. and be driven through the streets as if I'm the most notorious and or wanted criminal or terrorist, parading through traffic lights and with guns on my head. And look, my children had been asking me questions. Indeed, one of them fell sick when people were trying to reach me and couldn't get me, and called him and to tell him that, why was your father arrested? And he turned to the news to realize that I was behind bars. He fell sick instantly. They had to rush him to the hospital. And not until later, around 7, when he managed to speak to me in his faint voice. And eventually, whilst he was shivering in the house and I got there and he saw me, he jumped out of the bed and shouted, "Daddy, I didn't know that you will come home." That is the trauma that they have put in my children.
Are you suing the police?
Obviously. I can't let this go.
When are you going to?
I have instructed my lawyers and they will assemble what is necessary. And I'm certain that in the course of the week, we should be filing the processes.
Will you organize this rally again?
I have drafted a letter to send to the police tomorrow morning. A week from today, which will be 25th of December, we shall be organizing a rally at the same venue at 9 a.m. You are cordially invited.
Thank you very much, Bernard Mornah, the national chairman of the PNC, the man who was organizing a rally this weekend, a rally which ended up in he and some of his team members being locked up by the NIMA police or divisional police command. He was my guest on Point Blank.
La Gazette du Togo, une vision sur l'actualité togolaise et sur le monde. Rejoignez-nous sur le www.lagazettedutogo.com ou sur nos comptes Facebook, Twitter et YouTube. Pour tout contact, écrivez à contact@lagazettedutogo.com ou appelez le 92 80 88 53. La Gazette du Togo, c'est l'information en continu.